Hey everybody, it's your favorite host, Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. And today we are going to talk about cheating. And why does it occur? Why is it happening? Why are people doing it? And how do we get change, true change in the facts? And why do people even do it? Why does it even happen in the first place? Right? It should be extremely easy to just be committed to your partner and love on them and be with just one individual. Right? Well, I have the expert come into the show. You guys won't want to miss 1 second of this powerhouse speaker coming to the stage. I have the author, Dr. Miller, coming to the stage, and she's going to help us figure out and debunk some myths to why cheating occurs. Stay tuned. Stay with us. Here we go. Welcome to the Gentleman Style Podcast stage. I'm your favorite host, your favorite gentleman, Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. And today I have Dr. Deb Miller. She is a Missouri and Pennsylvania licensed professional counselor with over 30 years of private practice and therapist experience working with couples, families, adults, teens, and children. With her diverse background as an educator, she specializes her in the needs of at-risk children, serving as a visiting assistant university professor and counselor of education, and as a school counselor. She has a wide breadth of experiences in helping people heal and cope with their challenges. Dr. Miller is helping us get to a better space, and she's coming to the Gentleman Style Podcast Show today to help us debunk the biggest myth of all: cheating. Help me welcome to the stage the incredible Dr. Deborah Miller.
Hi.
Welcome to the show, Doctor. Thank you for joining us on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show.
Thank you. All I can say is I wish all of us had a Marcus Norman in our back pocket to give our ego a boost.
Well, you did all the work, Doctor. I appreciate you, and I thank you for that. You did all the work. I've done nothing compared to your resume. It is extensive and vast, and I appreciate what you're doing. So thank you so much.
Thank you. It's wonderful to have the work highlighted and showcased.
Absolutely. You deserve it. You deserve it. Doctor, diving right in, you have an incredible mind and you have a vast experience of different experiences. Tell us, why specialize in cheating and why specialize on family and children? What's the focus there? Why have you chosen to specialize in that?
Well, I started off in special education, so I was a teacher, and then I evolved into a school counselor, and then I went into private practice, and I was specializing in at-risk youth and how to help them deal with life. And I started working with adults at the same time. And as I started working with couples, it was a lot about how to repair their relationships. And the frustration was the couples would come in and the person that got hurt, the person who was cheated upon, needed so much support, understandably. They needed to talk about it. They needed to feel supported. They needed to feel heard. And the person who actually cheated, had an affair, would fall silent. They were pretty mute. They would say, "I'm sorry, I won't do it again." And it was so redundant. Every session felt lopsided and was only focused on supporting the person. And that person that got hurt needs support and should get the focus. But if they really want to work on the relationship, or the person who cheated really wanted to grow from their experience, they needed a different focus. And I found that there weren't any self-help reference books out there for that person. So that's why I wrote More Than Sorry. Here's my little book, 5 Steps to Deepening Your Apology After You Commit Infidelity. And it sounds simplistic that there's 5 steps, but they're not like one after the other. They're very much Can you hear me?
Yes.
I got my earpiece. Okay, I was getting funny sounds. Um, they're 5 steps, but they are kind of obtuse. I mean, they're not like one and done. Like, oh, you got it. You did the check off. It's 5 steps that you have to embrace the rest of your life. So it takes, for the person who cheated, courage, humility, and a lot of remorse to do the work. And understandably, they want to just say, I'm sorry. Can we not talk about it anymore? I won't do it again. I promise. And they want to just quit the conversation. And for the person hurt, they really need more. They need more than I'm sorry. They need to know more the why. Why did you do it? And yet, do you have children, Marcus?
No, ma'am.
Okay. If you have a kid and you say, why'd you do that? Why'd you hurt that person, kick that person, break that vase, whatever? Their typical reaction is, I don't know. And there's some truth to that, especially when we're talking about affairs. They don't know because most of the time we don't look at our own personal transgressions very much. There's so much defense mechanism around it and protectiveness over our own egos that we don't really ask ourselves why. But that is the job from here on out for the person that violated trust, is to continually ask themselves, why? Why did I step over the line and violate the trust in this relationship? Why did I cheat? Why did I lie? Why did I have a secret relationship? And the answer to why will evolve. And sometimes initially it'll be, I don't know. And then a month later, it might be, well, here's what I was going through at the time. Here's what I know now about myself. A year from now might be even more in depth. But that's the challenge, is for the person that cheated to continually ask themselves the why question. But that's also frustrating for the person who was hurt because they want more concrete why, what led to that. And they have to be somewhat patient to accept that the answer to why isn't going to necessarily satisfy their curiosity. So it's a two-way street. Therapy needs to be for everyone, but
Therapy is necessary. Therapy is very, very necessary. What is in the textbook? What is the textbook definition of cheating? Let's start there.
Yeah. It's a secret relationship, an affair, cheating. It's like you broke the acceptable code that you and your partner had about what's okay in a relationship. So cheating means I did something without your knowledge. I did something behind your back. And of course, sometimes we do little things behind our spouse's back. Like, we didn't really, we bought something and didn't tell the other person we did it, and again, it depends on the magnitude of it, and how much it would hurt the person. So it's the secrecy, is the betrayal. And that's why in my book, I talk about physical affairs, but I also talk about online affairs. And in today's world with all of our social media, it's really easy, if you chose, to have a relationship online and never physically be with a person. And yet to have a intense relationship with someone where you're emotionally intimate with someone can still violate the trust of your significant other if they don't know. Because if you're so focused on this new relationship, you lose focus on your existing relationship. You're putting so much energy into this new one that even though you may be showing up and cooking dinner and going to work and taking care of the kids, if you're not present in a very genuine way with your significant other because you're distracted by your relationship, your new relationship, then that's a betrayal.
So what I'm hearing is that there's an emotional attachment. So you're saying physical cheating with someone physically is the same or just as damaging as someone who's having a online affair.
Right.
It's on the same page. It's on the same line. There's no physical interaction, but just having a connection with someone else outside of your partnership, your relationship, is just as bad. Did I
Exactly.
understand it?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure society would say that though. I think there's this huge like, oh, he or she slept with someone else. Oh my gosh, that's the worst. You have to leave, versus, oh, they spent 5 hours online talking to somebody this week. They're not going to quite have the same shock value or moral outrage, perhaps. And yet, if it pulls the person away from the significant relationship, the marriage or a committed relationship, then it's a violation of trust and it's secrecy. So I'm not sure about the hierarchy. Again, society certainly judges physical affairs in a harsher way.
Yes, ma'am. Is the saying true? And you address this all the time in your counseling and in your sessions. Once a cheater, always a cheater. I need your help to debunk that myth. Is that true?
Yeah. Well, it can be true if the person doesn't deal with accepting their idiosyncrasies, accepting their violation, doing their self-examination. I call it navel gazing, truly looking at yourself. And I don't mean this in a self-absorbed narcissistic way, but a way to look at yourself and question yourself and explore yourself. So if you do cheat, and when people get caught cheating, their first reaction is going to be denial, minimizing, deflection, all those defense mechanisms that we're all experts at. Then they could continue the road to cheating. And sometimes it takes being caught to be a wake-up call, to face the music, to really deal with what they did. So the first step, the 5 steps I have, let me explain the 5 steps in the book. The first step is empathy. You have to have true empathy for the person that you hurt. And empathy is a sensation. You get it. You understand what the other person's feeling, but it's also the ability to put it into words. What is it that they're feeling? Say, oh, so you're angry at me because I didn't come home on time. You're hurt that I had 5 drinks with this cohort at work. It's those kind of things that this is a skill of empathy, is how to communicate that. And then the second step is navel gazing, as I talked about, really looking at yourself, looking at your personality style, your characteristics, your relationship style. A bunch of things are in the book. And then saying it out loud is the third step. Because if we don't confess in a way to someone, whether it be a therapist or a trusted friend, then we can play this head game continually in our own mind that justifies, minimizes, and just doesn't really let us look at what's happening. And then the fourth step is restitution. What can I do to change? How can I be different? How can we as a couple be different? And then the last step is to truly ask for forgiveness. And there's a lot of examples in my book about how to say I'm sorry in a deeper way that communicates that you've done the work, that you've really looked at yourself. So once a cheater, always a cheater. Yeah, can be if you don't do the work.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Dr. Miller, y'all. I told y'all we were going to peel back the onion this episode. This is a deep dive into the mindset, the psychology of cheaters. We have to pay the bills, y'all. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. We're going to a quick commercial break. Stay tuned. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
If you're looking for a reliable professional trucking and logistics service, you've come to the right place. Musa Trucking is a veteran-owned and operated premier transportation provider that can help with all of your trucking and logistics needs. Musa is revolutionizing the trucking industry through strategic partnerships, the development of core personnel, and the use of cutting-edge technology. Our inventory system ensures that cargo ends up divided into the right trucks and reaching the correct destination. Our drivers are dedicated to transporting goods efficiently and safely. Contact us today to get started by visiting the website on the screen or by calling 757-756-5246.
Support for Gentleman Style Podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming champions of the world. Manscaped offers you precision engineering tools for your family jewels. Manscaped just launched their 4th generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, the 4.0. Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off free worldwide shipping with the code GENTSTYLE at manscaped.com.
We are back to the Gentleman Style Podcast show. If you missed it, we have the incredible, lovely, amazing Dr. Deborah Miller. And she just spilled some tea on her latest book, her newest book, on how we need to apologize. It talks about cheating, but also the recovery, the aftermath of cheating, the whys, the whos, the whats. And one of the things that I heard, and it kind of stood out to me, is that deeper apology. Doctor, can you explain what that really means to my audience? What is a deeper apology? It's more than just I'm sorry and let's move on. What does that mean?
Right. It reflects that you've looked at it, you've owned it, you have dissected a bit about knowing who you are and what motivated you and where you were at that moment in time. And it also reflects an intention to be different. So I can read you one of the example letters in my book. This was a couple, same-sex couple, that he was having one-night stands while he was away on traveling. Okay. And he writes, "Dear Carlos, I now own up to my affairs and realize my moral code was terrible, and I'm genuinely embarrassed by my behavior. I was only interested in having fun and filling up my ego in such a disgusting way. I've discovered the broken place in me filled with fear and insecurity. Now I will say no. I pledge that I will not return to the double life I led. It embarrasses me when I realize how long I cheated and denied it to myself. I didn't justify it. I just didn't think about it. Now I want to look in the mirror, respect who I am, respect the vow I made to you, and be honest, open, and faithful. I realize that my affairs tainted our relationship, even though you didn't know what I was doing. I'm sure you sensed a wall to our intimacy. While protecting my secrets, I could not be present with you, impacting our intimacy. I know we can be happy. I will work on being a good individually by continuing to navel gaze. I love you, and I hope you will forgive me enough to continue to build a future together. Things will be different. Love, Bruce." That hopefully illustrates how he said a lot more than I'm sorry. It really reflected empathy. It reflected navel gazing. It reflected hope, humility, and just really owned the pain that he inflicted, as well as owned the work that he needs to do to be different.
Absolutely. So he it's inward. He's expressing the inner work that he's going to do, that he's done already, and and so there is in it. How many people have actually, that couple, did they make it? Are they?
Well, they're somewhat fictionalized. I took couples from them. Yes, they made it, but I also illustrated couples that didn't make it. You know, that the apology wasn't sincere or authentic, and then there was one couple where perhaps it was sincere and authentic, but the scars were too deep. And that's what sadly happens when some trust has been violated. Sometimes there's just too much resentment that's built up and too much pain that's inflicted, and the scars can't be healed with even a deep apology. And so that's hard to accept. And that's the thing, when you give an apology, a sincere apology, it may or may not be accepted. You have to be humble enough to know that it's still the other person's choice whether to forgive you. And you have to be willing to accept that the conversation about the affair is going to keep coming up over the years after. It may not be as frequently, but it's, once in a while you'll go, yeah, that movie made me think about what happened to us 10 years ago. And, I kind of hurt a little bit to see them go through that, and you need to find the skills to say, yeah, I know, I thought of that too. And I look back at 10 years ago and I'm still so filled with regret and sadness that I did something so stupid, and I think that's, the maturity it takes.
How often does one need to say that deepening apology? How often does one need to, is it years? Does it take years for that?
Years. And it always should be addressed. If you truly, what we're after in all relationships is intimacy, physical, emotional, spiritual, intellectual, did I hit them all? But yeah, we want to be intimate with our partner. And so that means I have to give myself permission to say out loud whatever thoughts are in my head and feel safe enough to let that be okay. Even though it may not be what my partner wants to hear from me, like, really, I thought we were having a good time. You're going to bring up my affair again? No, I just need to say it. And that the hope is over the years, the depth or the length of the conversation about the affair is shorter. It's just saying, it went through my head again. Oh my gosh, it's still there. This still hurts my heart. And that's, the intimacy to be able to share all the ups and downs of life. And of course, when your trust has been violated, that's a big down. So
you brought up a couple earlier, and he was apologizing to her. They had a polyamorous relationship.
Yeah.
What first off, I need your help. Who cheats more? What are the numbers, right? Okay. Is it men or women who cheat more? You
look for statistics, and statistically, again, this is self-report. Typically, they say 25% of men cheat in marriage and 15% of women do. And then you add another 20% if you look at emotional affairs. Okay. And so I guess that's probably accurate. Like we say 50% of all marriages end in divorce. That statistic hasn't changed a lot, actually. Even though people are getting married a little later than they used to. Hopefully they get their other relationship urges out of the way before they get into a committed relationship. So I'm hoping that the numbers will be improved as people enter marriage and when they're more mature, when they're more experienced. Yeah.
Very true. Do you see in those? Do you see a lessening in couples who are polyamorous, couples who are in open relationships? Do you see less cheating in those?
Well, I'm probably naive, honestly, about how frequently polyamorous relationships are happening. Polyamorous, for the audience, is people that agree to have sex with other people. They agree to have an open relationship. And there are polyamorous groups, apparently. I just moved from St. Louis, and I was told, yeah, they're there. And you think, oh, the Midwest? No, it's everywhere, apparently. And so, yeah, the story that I was telling Marcus before we started the recording was that I had a couple, probably the one that shocked me the most. They came because they were in a swingers group, and they were upset because she cheated by having lunch with one of the people that they had slept with, one of the people they had sex with. And that was a violation of the norm of what they had agreed upon for their relationship. And he felt like it was a betrayal. It was going behind his back because she was starting to develop an emotional relationship with this third person. So that was interesting, not in my frame of reference, not in, what I experience in my day-to-day life, but it was a good exercise to understand that people have different choices, different lifestyles. And if you agree, then I guess it's okay.
That goes back to the definition of cheating, right? There's a bubble. These are the safe things in the bubble. And right. for that particular couple, the bubble was yes, it's okay to have intimate relationships with this
Physical,
person,
yeah.
physical
Mhm.
physical relationships with this
Right,
person, but
right.
a sandwich, oh no, nope,
No,
that's too
no.
far, that's too
Yeah,
much.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
So
mean,
anything that violates that bubble is
right,
considered cheating.
right. Yeah, and I know there are sex therapists out there who understand this a lot more than I do, um, who get how big these communities are and how prominent it is, how prolific it is. Who knows? I mean, that's another guest you should find for your show. Talk to a sex therapist. But it is interesting. That is another chapter in my book about the brain and sex. Sex is affects your happiness level. It's like having a yummy piece of chocolate or a glass of wine or going for a good run. It changes your brain chemistry and it's such a high. And so then the high obviously is fun. And so then you want to repeat it and have more. And so I offer the brain chemistry piece in my book, not as an excuse for people to have affairs, but as more of another understanding of why or how they perhaps lost who they are, lost themselves. How did they become or start acting in a way that was not congruent with their normal belief system, with their normal moral code? And so it's just a dynamic that I think is powerful, and that's really interesting how the sex affects our brain chemistry.
So it is a chemical thing. It's not just you weren't born a cheater. It's a chemical reaction that you're seeking, kind of like an addiction, like any other addiction.
It can be, yeah. But I mean, it's also the fun part. When we're in a healthy relationship, sex should be fun, right?
True.
You should be enjoying it, and it should be a little chemical high. It should be a good stress buster, intimacy builder, all those things. My point of bringing it up is that it's addictive if you start doing it outside the norm of your primary relationship, and that's part of what might keep you going back for more, which is very dangerous and going to be ultimately destructive to your relationship, to your primary relationship. But yeah, I think people dive into affairs or secret relationships for fun. Yeah, and are all hedonistic at some level. We all look pleasure seeking. But it's also some impulsivity and certainly availability. Someone's there at the right time, right place, and you think, oh, and the whole concept of thinking I won't get caught. That's another driver for people who are in betrayal, or they feel entitled. And there's a population of people who feel like, cheating is not a big deal, and if it doesn't hurt my family at home, I can continue, and I deserve this, or my parents did it when my parents did it, and so it's just really normal. And so there's a lot of different reasons why people do, but it's also the sexual part's a very powerful energy change that will keep people in the relationship far past when they should.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Doctor, what's you've shared a lot of great nuggets on the episode today. What's one more nugget? If you had one more tip, one more golden nugget in the book.
Okay, yeah, I have a whole list. I won't give you the whole list, but for the person they get to bring it up. They are in the driver's seat. They get to decide if they want to stay, leave, ask more questions, scream and yell, cry and throw temper tantrums. They get to it's their choice. It's their choice. I do coach, the betrayed to, you don't have to make a decision today. You can take some time to figure out what you want, take some time to see what the healing process is, take some time to see what the betrayer decides to do in terms of their navel gazing and restitution plan.
Makes sense. And how can we get a copy of the book?
I saw you posted up there. Yeah, Amazon, Amazon sells everything. So yeah, it's More Than Sorry, 5 Steps to Deepen Your Apology. There you go. Thank you. Yeah,
Absolutely.
it'd be great. So there's a ebook and a paperback. So
Love
yeah, I mean, I think the book was written to be used in therapy, but it's also used for people outside of therapy because therapy is not necessarily available. We have a horrible shortage of therapists right now. And
Really?
so this is also hopefully that you would use this book on your own. But the caveat is you need to find someone, whether it be a therapist or a good friend who will listen to really help you work through the steps, work through the book, ask the hard questions, listen. So, you know, it's definitely, you can do this outside of therapy if need be.
Absolutely. And how can the audience connect with you? How can we grow with you? How can we learn more?
You can contact me on my website, which is oh, there you go. drdebmiller.com. Yes. Yeah. You're on it.
Check her out. That's www.drdebmiller.com.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she is phenomenal. If you're struggling with this, if you're going through this, connect, right?
Yeah,
She
right.
will help you get through this. She has the expertise. Doctor, thank you so much for being on the show today. You are phenomenal.
Well, so are you. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. I want to say this to you publicly. Don't ever quit. Just because you just said it, there's a shortage of therapists around the world. So we need you. We need the good work that you're doing, and you are helping us do better in the world. Thank you for the great information. You're right, Tamala. Yeah.
Thank you, Tamala.
Absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely. I want to thank you all, my audience, for tuning into the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. I hope this was helpful, right? And if there's more deepening questions, please connect to Dr. Miller. Reach out to me if you missed anything I said today. Connect with me, and I'll get you in contact with her. This is necessary. So I hope this message helps. I hope this helps get you guys going and realize that if you've been betrayed, that there's a way forward. It's not the end. There is progress, and therapy is one of them. So seek it out. Don't be afraid.
And if you're the betrayer, also seek it out. Yeah, make sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like I always end every show, take care of your friends. We gotta let Dr. Miller go. She has work to do, and we gotta give her back. We gotta give her back to her family. So, like I end every show, take care of your friends, take care of your family, and always take care of business. This is Marcus Norman, your favorite gentleman, and Dr. Deborah Miller signing off. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.